well, thank you guys for joining us for another Health Truth Life video. A long, medium to long length video we're doing here. So we're going back over the matrix. Back in the matrix again. We're under service, and we're going over discipling.
Discipling. Yeah, number 19.
Number 19, moving right along.
Incredible. We are moving right along and not too far from finishing up on our last of 6 sections. And this is, 19 of 24 total. So discipling, just kind of the idea of teaching and being taught. And how that benefits our life. And if we have opportunities for that in our life, I think it allows for growth, allows for health, allows for you to recognize your purpose. And if you're not offered that ability to be taught when you're younger and or even older, but also to teach and or to master and then teach others as they're coming along, man, then I think we're neglected of a special part of life. So certainly some things of wanting to talk about.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of people, when you first hear the word disciple or discipleship, it's probably more of a religious term for a lot of people. You don't hear it in mainstream society talking about it a lot. But what's interesting is, especially now with social media, everybody talks about getting followers and following someone.
Wow.
So we're actually all discipling in one way, shape, or form. So it's not really just strictly a religious term. So just kind of be aware that we're actually all doing this and have the potential to lead people in positive or negative directions.
And be led by others.
And be led, exactly. So to
Yep.
start with like a definition, I always like to go over like what Webster says first, and then we'll get into like what you have here. But a simple definition of what a disciple is one who accepts and assists in spreading the doctrines of another.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, like I just said, the most common example that we hear or think about is within Christianity. We accept Jesus, become a follower of Jesus, and then encourage and lead others in following him as well. I love how Paul, the Apostle Paul, he simplified it in 1 Corinthians 11:1 when he says, "Follow my example as I followed the example of Christ." So he made it very simple. He's like, I see Jesus, I'm going to follow him. Hey, you guys, come follow me as I follow him. And it's like we're saying, it's easy to see within the Christian, faith, but then this is everything in life. What you learn, a skill, a trade. You're going to learn something from somebody above you. You can learn it and kind of master it yourself, and then you can say, hey, this is what I learned. Like, come follow me and I'll teach you and I'll show you this same thing.
Yeah, and I think as we are being taught and teach others, I describe in here that humility is a big part of that. Having to be and having to take on that form of humility to recognize that, hey, none of us knows everything.
I love what you put in here, talking about humility, because a lot of times we feel like if we master a topic or master something, we're like there. We can't learn anything more. That's what the word master kind of means, But that's what you wrote in here. Even the masters, those that are the ones discipling, can learn from those that are mentoring or discipling. And you have some good stories that you put in here, talking about your sons. So, for example, your older son currently has a grasp on high school Latin and football offensive strategy.
He did on Latin, probably not anymore since that class has passed.
Okay.
But I mean, I could definitely
you can
learn stuff from him in those aspects, and
And it is humbling when your kids come home from school and start talking about things they learn, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't know that. You're teaching me something new. So you do have to kind of receive it with humility and learn and grow from it, Or we could kind of be like, I know that, in a proud way and try to, act like we already have a knowledge of it or something. But then too, you talk about your younger son, understanding of living in the moment, and then inshore fishing, and you can learn a lot from him in those two areas. So just being mindful of the fact that we can always learn and grow. Even if we have kind of like mastered or learned a lot about a specific subject or job or recreational thing, whatever, we can always still learn and grow.
Absolutely.
And so, taking the time to disciple, build others up, help educate them, and get them to pass on the knowledge that you do have, and then do it in a humble way, so you can continue to learn and grow. And it really is a beautiful process, because everybody is benefiting in a positive way from it. So yeah, I'm going to read what you said at the top here, because discipling involves the passing of information from one person to another. It is the process of the student becoming a practitioner and ultimately a teacher. And you've got an interesting quote, and I've heard you say this many times in the office here, but I didn't really know what you meant by it until now. And it's see one, do one, and teach one. And this is a quote that your father often used, apparently. And so, yeah, go ahead and talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, just the concept of during his medical training, he talked about that was how they learned, is that they would see how a procedure was done by watching someone else. They would then do that procedure, and then they would then teach that procedure as they mastered it, you know, and this was in his residency for medicine, and so, or for obstetrics and gynecology. And so similarly, that's how a lot of medicine is done, but that's also how a lot of, if you think about it, just the whole concept of the apprenticeships that used to take place hundreds of years ago, but also take place now in many trades, where you have a master plumber and an apprentice plumber, a master electrician and an apprentice technician or electrician. And so things like that, I think, still obviously take place. My idea is behind discipleship is a component of that, but also just in community, because what I see as people reach retirement, if they don't have a way to disciple others, oftentimes they lose their purpose. And I think what a great, you know, that's how, you know, many villages and or societies are kind of built, is that the wisdom of the grandfathers and grandmothers would be passed down in their last years. And part of the purpose of them during that time was to shepherd and to pass on their information to those below them. And so I think we lose a component of that, and have lost a component of that in the way we live life now. And I think you know, allowing that to take place, where the wise and the sages of our culture and of our families and of our society should try and find and have an opportunity to pass on their wisdom and their experiences, because they have so much to teach us, and it's a purpose-filled experience to teach others about your experiences. I get life from it when people come and ask me, hey, what is it like to be a doctor? Can I come talk to you? Oh my gosh, that's exciting to me, because I get to go, man, look at what you could do. Look at what you could explore and learn. Look what I've done, but also how much more can you do whenever you come along. So just kind of, it's an exciting thing, I think, for me.
I love that, because knowledge is one thing, but then having life experience and being able to pass on the knowledge in combination with the life experience, you know, it's such a cool thing. You were just talking about the elders or the sages. If you look at most of the blue cities, you know, that they talk about, those that are living longer, healthier lives, that's a big part of it. Like the community they have, the families staying together, the elders kind of, like you said, towards the end of their lives, passing down everything they've learned, all that knowledge. And we live such busy lives now. We've kind of gotten away from that here in America. And, so you're right. It's cool to think about making that effort as we age. But yeah, at every age, you have the opportunity to pass some information down, or some life example, something you've lived and learned, to encourage somebody below you and build them up and lift them up and just encourage them, you know.
And the whole process of it is life-giving, you know, and that's why I have it in the Matrix. And I think that, you know, it's a component of our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual life to be able to teach others. Whether it's in a practical way, how to change a tire, to how to draft a document or do a procedure. I mean, like, it's life-giving, and that's purpose-filled in that component. So
and too, it might be a struggle for some people. They might not think they have a lot to offer, but man, we all do. Everybody has life experience that you can encourage others in and with. You may not be what our society says is an expert in something, but you can still always share your life and share some kind of story or life lesson that you've learned with those that are younger than you, and disciple them in that, you know. So there's always ways that we can do this, that we can disciple people. And you say here, discipling can have both secular and non-secular applications, and all persons may have competence and a degree of authority in some realm of their lives. And then you did go into that, talking about your sons and how you can learn from them. Because obviously, what you're doing as a father, there's so much discipleship in parenting. I mean, that's what we're doing, we're getting our kids to say, like getting them to see how we are living, and we're sharing with them what's worked and what hasn't worked, and encouraging them, and helping them see how they can live their lives, and eventually how they can pass it down to their kids, So it is so neat to think about that, seeing our relationships. We have potential in every one of our relationships, I believe, to either be discipled, by those above us, or disciple those that are younger than us,
Absolutely, yeah.
I had a pastor tell me one time when I think I was in college, he told me, you should always have an elder or someone that is older than you and lived life, more than you. You should always have an elder that you're kind of looking up to, learning from, growing from, asking questions, with. And then you should always have someone that's younger than you that you can kind of pour into and encourage them, and, ask them if they have any questions for you, So always be kind of growing with someone above you, and then sharing that information and knowledge with someone below you.
Kind of a Paul and Timothy relationship, Timothy being a student, Paul being a teacher, kind of play both roles in your life, and be humble enough to learn how to do that gracefully.
And so you do get into that. Both learning and teaching require a healthy degree of humility, as we must recognize that none of us knows everything. Being a student necessitates meekness, as the very act of learning from someone requires an acknowledgement that the teacher knows more than we do. And additionally, even as teachers, we can learn much from those we are discipling, as they may come to different conclusions given the same base information.
And that's important to recognize that, hey, we can teach somebody something and/or try and guide them towards something, but they may see it in a different way. We can learn from that by recognizing that, hey, we've got some blinders on.
I thought it was my way, the highway. Though,
exactly. And have a real myopic view, but it's kind of neat how you can learn. And I do see that, honestly, with, in different respects with my sons, but also many others that I've got relationships with where, I may see something that we talk about and or learn from in a way, but just kind of it's a refining moment. And again, it's a humility type, humility gaining moment for that allows the teacher to learn while they're still teaching.
I love that too, because like we're saying, and this is what we talk about next year, is it feels both the teacher and the one that's being taught, the student, with purpose. You get more purpose out of it. Both people do. So like it's a mutually beneficial exchange, discipleship. So it's a really neat thing. The act of teaching and discipling others provides the teacher with purpose. As individuals age and become masters in many areas of their lives, it benefits them mentally, emotionally, and physically to participate in the teaching of others. And I like this. You did already talk about it a little bit, but many retirees find it rewarding and fulfilling to volunteer their time and talent towards mentoring those coming along behind them, and this transaction can greatly benefit the mentor. And I've seen that in my own life with people at retirement age. Those that are the most fulfilled and content and happy in life are the ones that have found ways to still serve and to pass down what they've learned. I've got several older couples in my church that, man, they're just so full of life. Like I hope that when I'm their age, I am that alive, and what gives them life is pouring into younger people and like just sharing what they've learned throughout their 80 plus, 70 plus, 80 plus years of life.
That's great.
So it does fill you with more purpose and meaning for sure.
Good stuff. Comment below if you've got ideas on where you have learned and or been discipled, or where you're discipling and how you see that playing out, and whether it's into your own physical health or even times whenever you haven't had that and it's led to states of disease. And that's kind of what we talk about with this is, with these processes, if you're kind of engaged in them more often, I think you've got a higher degree of, a state of ease, I guess, whenever you're living out your purpose, whether it's with your neighbor or with your family or with someone above or below you. Just thought process.
It's funny because I think this totally ties into outward focused. And we titled the last video, or part of it was get out of your head, right? And so in order to disciple, mentor someone, you've got to take that time to get out of your head and focus on meeting their needs and encouraging them, and you know, seeing what you can do to service. It all comes down to serving someone else, you know, and that's why seeing how these people live that recognize they do have something to offer the generations below them, and they serve them by passing down that information and the life lessons, you know, and these people, like I said, are the ones that are filled with life and vitality.
Honestly, part of what we're doing here, I believe, is discipling. Like we've even talked about that. We want a component of this to be almost a legacy that we pass down to our sons, you know, and future generations. Because, man, these are things that we don't know everything, but certainly, you know, we believe that a lot of these concepts help lead to greater degrees of ease and or diminish the states of dis-ease, I guess. So this is kind of a form of discipling as well, what we're doing right here.
I love it. You're right. Very true. Very true. So we've got some action questions now to go over, kind of wrapping it up here. Where can you learn from others in order to bless your journey and others' journey? So just be mindful of that. Ask yourself that question. Take some time and assess in your own life where you can do this, where you can help, where you can learn from others yourself, and then how you can bless others on their journey as well. Lots of opportunities, like we talked about in the last video. There's so many opportunities to serve and help others. And then, just being aware of maybe someone that's older than you that you've kind of looked up to and admired. You know, don't hesitate to ask them questions, and you know, try to just have good, open dialogue conversations with them. And then next, are you teaching or mentoring others who are interested in following a similar path as you? So I mean, I'll be honest, this did kind of like motivate me as we were talking about it. I'm like, man, I did for a while. This kind of hit me. You do have to be intentional. This takes intentionality. And so you've got to make that effort to meet with someone and say, hey, can I'm interested in kind of like trying to, talk to you, have good conversations, disciple, mentor. You know, there's someone at my church that I thought of just had a baby. I'm like, man, he's entering this kind of crazy phase of life, you know, where your life drastically changes. And I have 3 kids. I'm like, I've been there and done that. I know what worked and what didn't work, you know? So I'm like, this motivated me. I'm going to go this Sunday and talk to this young man and say, hey, I'm here for you, you know?
That's
like,
great.
You have any questions? How can I help, you know?
Wow, what a blessing to have that, I was just thinking about last night we had a gathering locally at a community event, and a young man that I had mentored about a year ago, getting into college, he was thinking about medicine and health and science, and he came up to me at this event. He's home for college for the weekend, and you know, just was so kind and offering, you know, kind of like thanks, but also just telling me what he's doing and all this stuff. So just kind of breathing out into what he's doing as to how it ties into some of the things we talked about a year ago. And so it's just kind of neat to have that full circle and to still be there for young people out there that are looking for their way. They're trying to find their way. And you know, my prayer for my kids is that, my boys, is that, and we know as fathers that, you know, our sons don't always come to us. Many times they don't come to us at certain ages. They're looking for guidance from other people. We pray that other men come along their side to kind of guide and help them whenever we're not around, or whenever they're not seeking our counsel. They're needing to hear it from someone else. And so that's a prayer that I believe all men, you know, could and should have for having good men to be brought around their sons specifically, and their daughters, of course. But as their sons are growing, to be around good men.
Again, like, there's these opportunities are everywhere, so just kind of take some time and look around and find those men or women, you know, younger men and women that you think could use that counsel. Because they're going through the same phases we've gone through as we've aged.
And it's shocking how little it takes to encourage people. I mean, really, you know, this young man at your church, he may be blown away that someone, hey, did you realize that this guy came up and said, because I know whenever I had my first kid, I had him kind of late. I was nervous, man. I didn't know what I was doing.
Scary.
You know, it is, man.
Yeah.
You gonna drop them?
Right. And I want to tell them I had those same thoughts, dude. Like, but hey, my kids are, you know, teenage years, and it's, to me, it's a miracle they made it this far. Like, praise God, you know. Like,
believe me, good stuff, man.
But then too, it's funny. We have this knowledge and this information. We have these life lessons that we've learned. Why would we? What good is it that we bottle it up and keep it in? Like, why would we not share that with other people.
It's only worth anything if you give it away, really, because you
Yes.
can't take it with you.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Good.
Do you recognize that you can be the linchpin or spark in someone's life journey?
Whew, wow.
Man, I don't think we realize that.
Or the roadblock.
Yes, true. Good point.
Think about it. You know, I mean, you could be the linchpin or the roadblock, and if you're not available and open, you're not able to drop things whenever someone needs you. Goodness, and we all can struggle with that, but just recognize the opportunity.
And you don't have to have it all figured out. Like, none of us do. That's the point. So I think that's held me back a lot for a while. Like, I thought I wasn't smart enough, wise enough. I haven't learned enough.
Or there.
I wasn't there, like, and so I didn't make an effort. But
What a lie.
Yeah, it's a deceptive lie. It prevents you from passing on the truths and the knowledge and the things that we've learned to encourage and help those, below us grow. So I would encourage everybody, you have something to offer. Like, you've lived life and you have valuable lessons to pass down and encourage and help others. So don't hesitate to do it. And then, are there elders in your community that you or your children can learn from?
Great stuff. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hope you appreciated this discussion on discipleship and how we can learn from others and how we can teach others and how it does benefit our overall health and wellness. So, any final thoughts?
Get out there and find someone you can disciple, and find someone above you that you can talk to, ask questions and confide in. It's a blessing. Be open and communicate. We're all valuable. We all have valuable things to encourage others with and to pass down. So
awesome.
Yeah.
God bless you guys. Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you.